Sekiro's new free update introduces Gauntlets of Strength, which are 4 boss rush challenges that lead to new skins and a really good new weapon art if you're able to beat all of their bosses without dying. So first let's go over the rewards, then we'll go over the new lore, the new boss variants, and at the end of the video I'm going to try and do live commentary for the first time, just showing you how I like to beat all of these bosses. So this is Sakura Dance, a new weapon art that you'll receive if you defeat the 3 bosses in the Divine Air Gauntlet. It is, unabashedly in my opinion, the most powerful weapon art in the game. Just look at this footage. I feel like this is From Software saying, hey, gauntlets are pretty damn hard, you should probably take this. For the low cost of 1 spirit emblem, Sakura Dance propels you high into the air, allowing you to dodge most ground attacks with 3 large sweeping slashes, from which you can transition into any mid-air prosthetic attack. So you can slam down with the loaded axe, you can start a Sabimaru combo, or throw some firecrackers, just be creative. As if that wasn't enough though, Sakura Dance also reflects lightning, easily too, which, as we'll get into later, is pretty damn good against some of the new bosses. So let's talk about the gauntlets and their rewards. On your way to one of the main endings, you will unlock the Severance Gauntlet, which, if beaten, will reward you with the memories of the Tengu outfit, which belonged to Isshin. Just completing the game will also unlock the Ashina outfit, which belonged to the sculptor back in the days when he was called Sekiro, the one-armed orangutan. We get to see what he looked like, which is pretty cool. Now, because some bosses are unique to different endings and you need to defeat the bosses to unlock the gauntlets, you'll have to go into New Game Plus at some point if you want to unlock all the gauntlets on one character. For example, to unlock the Shura gauntlet, you'll have to kill all the bosses on the way to the Shura ending, but you'll also have to kill Owl Father, who is actually a part of the Purification ending. Once you unlock and overcome the Shura gauntlet, you'll be rewarded with the Memory of Shura outfit, which is by far the best new skin, in my opinion, because it gives us an insight into what our harrowing life must be like after becoming Shura. And you might remember, during the Shura ending, the narrator tells of our subsequent murderous rampage throughout the Ashina countryside. Very few people survived, so this outfit is actually based on their memories, and it's told via Ashina folk song. Fields of bodies, mountains of dead, down Dragon Spring River, our country bled, a fiery god, demon wolf in red. Also, if these outfits aren't enough for you, I also recently released zip hoodie variants of all of my merch, just saying. So, I want to talk about memories now, and the outfits aren't the only new memories that you'll receive. For Sekiro, his memories are actually somewhat physical, as is evidenced by the fact that you can take items from them back into the world with you, even though these memories are just a recollection of something that's already happened. Now, after countless recollections of the bosses in Sekiro's own memory, the remnants of these bosses have physically and mentally as well grown stronger as a result of all of those recollections, and this is all happening within the inner confines of our memory. So this is inner Genichiro. A young Genichiro watched as Tomoe danced. Her movements held secrets and a height of technique that not even a lifetime could attain. And yet, in memory, after countless bouts with his mortal enemy, Genichiro at last reached those heights. Inner Genichiro's new moveset is one of the better movesets added to the game, in my opinion, because his new moves often subvert your expectations. He now has gap closes, new flurries, the Sakura Dance combat art that does chip damage if you don't deflect it, and best of all, a new lightning reversal. So that's right. When you play the reverse card and you reflect Genichiro's lightning, he then says, "No you." Then he also reflects that lightning back at you. And from there, you can reverse his reversal of your reversal, ending this incredible lightning tennis match in style. As mentioned earlier, this is why Sakura Dance is actually a very welcome new addition to the game. Though if you don't have that equipped, it's probably better to just dodge through his lightning attacks now to avoid playing the game at all. Next, Inner Father Owl. Inner Father Owl once abandoned the young wolf in Yusui Forest, expecting him to fend against the illusions, likely never to return. Only in victory would he recognize the boy as his son. In this way, and in this way alone, he raised the wolf as his own. It confirms what we already knew. that Owl was a father to Sekiro to force a pursuit of strength, and in no other way. His new moveset is at its best when it subverts your expectations again, like the Fire Owl in Phase 2 that he throws sideways now sometimes to catch you jumping over it like you used to have to do. He also has some new combos, and I love when you attack him and he turns into the Mist Raven, and you really have to watch out for that during your aggression. Getting hit in new ways has never been so much fun. Lastly, Inner Isshin, which I personally feel like is the most disappointing new variant, just because the new moves are kind of just additions to his already enormous moveset. But I will say his new opening attack is really cool. If you time it right, you can sort of run right back into the eye of the storm. All his life, Isshin sought opponents whom he could face in a battle to the death. It would be foolish to believe that his thirst could be sated in memory. To face the one who cut him down, how the blood boils at the thought. When you beat all of the Gauntlets and all of the new bosses, you'll unlock the Mortal Journey. Here, you'll have to face 17 main bosses, including the 3 new boss variants, all in a row without dying, by the way. This is the hardest challenge you can do in the game, and if you complete it, your reward awaits you in the dilapidated temple. You get nothing. Nothing except the memory of an incredible journey, which, considering we've been talking about memories this entire video, it's actually a pretty fitting reward in my opinion. I had such a blast practicing and overcoming this content on stream with you guys. I'll never forget the first moment Genichiro reflected my lightning, when I desperately needed to get a kill on the second ape before its posture went down, or when my 2-year-old son Arlo burst into the room during the final boss fight of the Mortal Journey. Hi Arlo, do you want to come in? If you're considering attempting these challenges, just make sure you pick up all the prayer beads as you head into New Game Plus, because your health relates to your character, but your attack power doesn't, so don't worry about that. It's possible that these fights are affected by New Game Plus, but I'm actually not sure yet. Maybe try not to go too high into New Game Plus unless you can confirm otherwise. And shoutouts to all the channels that helped me learn how to defeat these bosses, they're in the description. Watching all these folks helped me form my own personal strategies for dealing with all the bosses, and that's what I'm going to try and teach you all now. Enjoy, and good luck if you attempt this yourself. I highly recommend giving it a shot. Alright, so this is like my 3rd attempt recording this. I was originally going to narrate over it in post, but then I realized all of my individual boss recordings didn't have audio, and you want audio for these because you want to be able to hear all of the like ting ting of the successful parries, and you want to be able to hear cues and that sort of thing. So I'm also going to turn off the music. Turning off the music is actually something you could also do if you want to just, focus on the gameplay. So I'd kind of recommend that, honestly, if you're practicing, even though the music is incredible. But we're going to start off with the Gauntlet of Strength here. We're going to do the Divine Air Gauntlet, and we're going to start with Gyoubu, who is really one of the easiest bosses in the game. He's the first boss, and there's very little he can do to threaten you, as you'll see. And if you play it correctly, there's honestly very little boss in general. So get 5 hits off here, and then use firecrackers, and you can keep attacking. If you're lucky, you can get 7 attacks here, I think. Stay at a medium distance, then you can get that grapple, mid-air attack, 1 extra attack, and after you do about 15 attacks or so, he usually gets stun-locked. I think it's around 15. So I'm just staying at medium distance here, trying to exploit these grapples. And now I kind of want to get hit. So to get hit, you stay on his right side, and you get some nice parries in. In Sekiro, remember, a lot of the time the goal is actually to get hit so you can parry. Helps you learn their attacks as well. And in Phase 2, I'll show you some cheese, if you really want to beat this fight with, no chance of failure. So, same principles, if he gets that far, do that. And now I'm just going to show you what happens if you just hold block. Gyoubu cannot break your guard, to the best of my knowledge, if you just hold block. His attacks do a lot of damage if they hit you, but they don't do that much posture damage, and there's so long of a break in between them that you can just hold block and wait for a safe time to attack him if you really want to. It was actually an accident for me to use the weapon art there, because I'm not used to holding block. But, we'll fight him normally. Until you want to use firecrackers, then it's not normal anymore. Firecrackers are amazing in this fight. After you do the second firecrackers though, he will start doing a slam attack. So be aware of that. But yeah, firecrackers every 20 seconds or so, and this is a piece of cake. Camera's always what gets you killed though, in the situations, if you're against the wall. It's good because he can run into the wall, but it's bad because your camera can get stuck. So yeah, that's pretty much the fight. It's more fun to learn the parries. He has a lot of very predictable attacks, and that's Gyoubu. Man, I actually just finished doing this gauntlet before I realized that my recording was messed up. You also want to rest in between. That's something that I often forget to do. Not that it matters too much, but something to be aware of. Now, Lady Butterfly. Lady Butterfly is a hard boss for being such an early boss, but there is one thing you can do, or rather not do, to make her very easy. And that is, don't attack. Don't attack. Attacking makes this boss so much harder, and I'll show you why. Also, equip your shurikens, and just get in her face and tap block. So unlike Gyoubu, where we were holding block, I'm just tapping block here. And when I say tap block, I don't mean like mindlessly tap it. I mean tap it constantly, but try to time it where she hits you. So tap it, but sort of try to tap it a little bit in sync with her attacks. And by doing this, there's virtually no chance that she'll ever hit you. There's virtually no chance that she'll really ever break your posture. But look at her posture. Out of all the bosses in the game, Lady Butterfly's posture recovers very slowly, even when at full health. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Attacking her is hard because finding a good flow with your attacks is difficult because she attacks so quickly sometimes. So she'll kind of like... she becomes twice as complicated if you do attack her. So if you're not confident, you can get by just blocking her. And then also, shurikens. When she jumps on the wire, be aware that it's shuriken time. You also want to dodge through that triple attack. It's very obviously telegraphed. So as soon as you see her knees bend, that means she's going to jump off, and you can get a free attack in. But yeah, I'll show you the cheese as well. Maybe I can show it to you now. So if you're really having a hard time, I'll try to show you the cheese in the next phase. Hopefully it goes well. There is one cheesy thing you can do that makes this fight a bit of a joke. And basically what you do to cheese her is you just attack, dodge, attack, dodge, attack, dodge. So when you get an attack in, dodge. And you want to just repeat this, and it's basically impossible for her to break it. Of course she cast this, so that does break it, but that's pretty rare for that to happen. If you have snap seeds, which you should, run into the middle of them and you can dispel them all at once. But I'll also show you how to deal with those if you don't have snap seeds. So this is the cheese. Dodge, attack, and it's very difficult for her to break out of it. It's very difficult for her to damage you, although it can happen. So yeah. The other thing in this phase is that she summons butterflies. And when she summons butterflies, what you want to do is you want to jump backwards and to an angle. And I'm not getting a good example of it here, but it does happen fairly frequently in this phase, and we want to try and get her to do that so I can show you. Also, the pause button is amazing in Sekiro. You don't even need to necessarily have snap seeds on your hotbar. So I really want her to use the butterflies now. And once you get this down, all you end up being aware of is just holding, tapping block, dodging backwards from the butterflies, and looking out for her unblockables, which can be pretty easily telegraphed, but most of them just involve jumping over. So there's the butterflies. I'm just holding back and jump at an angle, and then after 3 jumps backwards, she'll almost always do a jump attack. There's her triple attack, and yeah, that's Lady Butterfly. The core of it is just stay on the defense, tap block, and then after you've got that down, you can dedicate, the rest of your mind towards avoiding her really obvious attacks like the sweep and the triple attack and the butterflies. Good luck. So next up is Genichiro. I thought this fight was easy the first time I did it, but it's one of the harder inner fights. He has a lot of new attacks, and they kind of... If you're really used to the previous way to fight Genichiro, these new attacks are actually quite difficult to deal with, because they really throw you for a loop and surprise you. You want to have firecrackers, in my opinion. Firecrackers are overpowered for basically every fight, and you get really good at using them after a while. So firecrackers are good. And also, if you have this, equip Sakura Dance is actually amazing against any type of lightning attack in the game. It counters it pretty much completely for free and without any real timing needed. But you do unlock this when you finish this gauntlet, so a lot of you might not have this unlocked yet. So you don't really need it, but it is good. So I'm going to pretend we don't have it for now, and I'm going to show you in the second phase, you just want to dodge through his lightning and not use this. So that's one of his new attacks, the triple. You want to parry it perfectly. Always be on the lookout for those Makitties, and let me just run around and talk about him for a bit. So Genichiro's battle flow is different than the previous two, and every boss fight has like a battle flow to it, right? Like Gyoubu, you just basically block through his attacks and look for really obvious openings. Lady Butterfly, you just basically tap block and look for obvious openings. But Genichiro is my favorite battle flow, and the battle flow is sort of, it's attack until you get parried, and then defend until you parry him, and just rinse and repeat. So I'll try get into a good loop with him and show you what I mean. Attack, attack, until I get parried, and then I go on the defensive. So you might have seen it there. There'll probably be a better example. Sometimes you can get into a really long battle flow with Genichiro, but it's not really happening here, unfortunately. But there it is. So attack till you get parried, and then just deliberately press attack till you get parried, and then go on the defensive. So yeah, hopefully you know what I mean by battle flow, but I'm going to start the fight again so we get more practice in. And I'm just going to try and comment on what is happening on screen now. So that was his triple attack. It's very obviously foreshadowed. You want to do the triple block against it. Like that. And basically with Genichiro, you want to stay pretty aggro, because he's pretty dangerous at a distance with his bow, and especially inner Genichiro. He has a lot more gap closing attacks. So you can get into this loop very often, and I'm just deliberately tapping R1 until I get parried. Don't spam R1, deliberately tap it each time. That's a really good example of the loop you can get in with Genichiro. Just attack, attack, parry, defend, parry, attack, attack, parry. It just goes on and on. But now let's try and talk about some of his other attacks. When he jumps backwards like that, very often he'll pull out his bow, and you want to dodge into him when he jumps backwards. And sometimes he actually gets in a loop where he just keeps trying to pull out his bow, like this. He's going to pull out his bow. If you dodge towards him more accurately, that won't hit you. So his flurries are very dangerous in this too. There's a lot of new attacks to do with his flurries. If you see him starting a flurry, the best thing to do is actually firecracker him. Yep, there's the bow. I'm going to get a heal in here instead. So yeah, once you get the battle flow down, you can start to look out for his other attacks and learn them. And honestly, you want to practice against regular Genichiro first, because inner Genichiro has a lot of new moves, and it can make it a bit more complicated. So this is his flurry. That's what I mean by firecrackering it. I could have beaten him much faster in the first phase. When he runs to the side like that, he's always doing a sweep. And sometimes you'll get hyper armor like that afterwards. But you can be aware of the sweep and jump on top of it. When he does the jump in the air, dodge to the side of it. So the way to heal against him is to wait until he's doing another animation and then heal, otherwise he'll close that gap really quickly and interrupt you. So, this is where we can talk about the lightning attacks. I actually don't want to do too much damage because I want him to do the lightning attacks. So I can show them to you. Let me just pause. So, if you don't have this, just dodge through the lightning attacks. And I'll show you what that means. Like that. Wait for them to hit you, then dodge through it. Because if you reflect the lightning attacks, he will now, in inner Genichiro mode, he will now reflect them back at you, so you have to reflect them twice. So you play lightning tennis with him. But if you have Sakura Dance, and I'll show you what I mean by Sakura Dance being amazing. I actually don't want to kill him here. I'm going to Sakura Dance his next lightning attack. And I'm going to skip forward to when that lightning attack actually happens. Any second now, Genichiro. Okay, there it is. Basically, if you see lightning, you can use Sakura Dance and you will counter it 100% of the time. Basically, Sakura Dance as a weapon art... Sakura Dance as a weapon art is just... they're From Software's gift to you for giving you such hard gauntlets to defeat. So... yeah, you want to equip Sakura Dance. That's a good tip. But, it's just amazing, man. It's incredible. I'll show it to you quickly. It can get you over other enemies. You can use prosthetic arts in the middle of it. It reflects lightning. It's just broken. So next we'll do Severance. This is probably the hardest Gauntlet of Strength, I think, because it's also the longest. But it's fun. Guardian Ape is fun. So, Guardian Ape. You have a really big opportunity to get ready at the start of this fight. And by get ready, I mean buff your character. But the prosthetics you want are Firecracker, you want to have the Flame Vent, and you want to have Loaded Spear. Preferably the low-level Loaded Spear, so it doesn't use very much Spirit Emblems. And then at the start of this fight, you can just start buffing. So put on an Arco Sugar, so you can get some more damage. Use a Divine Confetti. And also equip Oil on your hotbar, if you have it. Oil makes this first phase go so quickly, and honestly, if I do this right, this will be over before you know it. So as I'm running towards him, as soon as he sees me, I'm going to chuck some oil at him. And before he can hit me, I'm hopefully going to hit him with this. And burn him. I'm going to switch to my firecrackers and use them here. And I'm just going to go to town. And this should stun him soon. There it is. And with any luck, he'll also be very stunned soon with any luck. Yeah, see, there we go. There's the big stun. And now, he's almost dead, and I've barely done any fight here. If he does the running attack, you just run away from it. And now you can do, it depends on how much health you have left, but this fight's almost over. Basically, you vary between using Long Spark and Fire. So I'm going to use Long Spark here. You can use it about once every 20 seconds. After the first one, he does a slam attack, so be aware of that. And then it's on cooldown. So I'm going to switch to the oil, and I'm going to use the fire instead. Wait until you get an opportunity to use the fire. And then he does this as well, so... depends on how much health you have left after that intro sequence, but you can vary between those two things and just constantly keep him stun-locked. If you don't do that, the fight's pretty hard. He does a lot of posture damage, and his moveset's pretty unpredictable. So I'd recommend doing that in the Gauntlet, at least. But I'm talking as if the fight's over, and that's because it basically is. This phase is just easy. The reason you might think this phase is hard is because you probably haven't had much practice at it, because the first phase often beats people. But you just want to parry the sword until he does the slam, double tap your spear to pull out the centipede, and that does a huge amount of posture damage. When he screams, run straight behind him. The hitbox of the scream is actually really small behind him, but it's really large in front of him. If he jumps in the air, you just jump when you see the warning symbol. And now, it's again one of those situations where we just want to get hit, so we can get our parries in. The more of these you parry, the more likely it is he'll do that. And the more he does that, the faster the boss fight ends. There are a few things to watch out for, I guess, but most of them in this phase are just sweeps that you jump over, like so. That was good timing. So whenever you see a warning sign in this phase, it generally just means time to jump. And that's it. The loaded spear makes this so easy. I gotta say, since there were all these new boss fights in this gauntlet, I was kind of hoping there would be like a third phase of the ape. Can you imagine? They just add a secret third phase to mess with you. So what's next? Great Shinobi Owl. Okay, so firecrackers are kind of the best thing for this fight, but honestly, it's not really a prosthetic heavy fight. The very easy way to defeat this is by staying at a medium distance and dodging through his attacks. So I'll show you that now. Medium distance, that's an exploitable attack. Get back to your medium distance, and that's an exploitable attack. Just dodge through it. You basically dodge through any of his sweeps and any of his jump attacks. See, if I'd spaced that properly, I wouldn't have got hit. And yeah, so Owl is one of those fights you want to deal health damage to him early. You don't really want to worry about his posture at all, because unlike Lady Butterfly, his posture will come back very quickly. Unless you do some significant health damage. He can follow up sometimes when you're behind him, so be aware of that. Like here. And if you run away too early, you'll also get caught. I got hit on purpose there, so you could see that. But generally in this arena, you want to heal when they're busy doing some other animation. Otherwise you will get punished severely. So yeah, when you're behind him, be wary that he can follow up, and that's when you tap block to parry. You can also exploit that healing attack, but I'll get into that in a second. But he's almost half health now. I'm just dodging through all his sweeps, staying at a medium distance when I can. And if you're confident, you can fight him normally here, so let me sort of show you what that looks like. The thing is, when you fight Owl normally, this fight becomes a lot more complicated. So if you really want to cheese it, you just play at a medium distance until he's out of health. Like, you never worry about his posture at all. But it's a really fun fight to learn how to do this. Like, he's got a lot of very fun sword play that you can counter. Obviously that stops you. That's like a Lloyd's Talisman. Stops you from healing. Second phase is... okay, when he does that, unlock and go behind him and do what I just did there. So hopefully we get another example before the fight's over. But basically by doing that, you get 2 extra hits in whenever he does that green orb attack. So you can use this opportunity to buff if you want to. Hey, if you want, you can also maybe throw some oil at him. Okay, I'm actually not sure if you can. This is probably not the best time to test new strategies. Yeah, no, you can't, never mind. Alright, phase 2. Unlock, attack behind him, and you can clip him twice with your sword. Same principles in this phase, except the poison can make your medium distance strategy a little bit harder, because the arena's covered in poison. But you can still do it if you want to. If you don't feel confident, just cheese him at a medium distance and get a ton of health damage on him. But I'm going to try fight him normally, so... okay, that's not good. Same thing though. That poison's actually pretty brutal in this game, so I will heal it. Probably good to have some antidote powder, just in case. But let me fight him normally. Maybe not talk for a minute, so I can get some actual skill back. I never really record and talk live, unless I'm on stream. That's another thing you can do in this phase, which is annoying. Get his posture back. More often than not, honestly, with Owl, you'll just beat him by just depleting his health, because posture can be tough. It's just amazing, you don't get that many openings for his health unless you do the medium distance strat. actually don't have healing equipped here. Okay. Funnily enough, that's a good opportunity to heal. Yeah, I'm just so aware of those attacks that you can dodge through. And it looks like posture's not going to be a factor here. He's being very generous with his openings today. When he does that, just try to look through the smoke as clearly as you can. Often he'll just follow up with a sweep attack, which is good for you obviously, but it can be hard to see sometimes. So this is a long phase too, because we kind of like... Oh yeah, firecrackers. You never really used firecrackers, it's pretty rare honestly, but you want to dodge through them if you can, and you get a free hit in. So just dodge towards him kind of thing. Alright, kind of a scuffed owl fight, but there was a lot to learn there, and there's a cheese strategy if you want to, and there's also just learning his attacks, and I recommend learning his attacks because you're probably going to want to know them when you fight Owl Father later on, which is something you're going to be fighting twice, because there's also the Inner Owl variant. But for now, we will do True Monk. One of my favorite fights in the game because I have very fond nostalgic memories of it at Gamescom. Like, just remembering going to Gamescom and playing this game before it was out, and no one knew what the hell to do against this boss, because no one knew how to really parry. But you can cheese it very easily with firecrackers. Let me show you the cheese. So, firecrackers, attack, attack. Firecrackers, attack, attack. And you can keep doing that. I forgot to rest at the idle, so I actually don't have as many firecrackers as I would like to have. But you want to use the firecracker strat at the start, if you're going to use it anywhere, because you start doing health damage and makes it a lot easier to get her posture down. So let me get some more firecrackers here by using the ceremonial tanto. But this is another fight, I kind of just recommend you learn it, because it's so much fun. But if you do need to cheese it, the firecrackers plus a buff will deplete her health so fast. Ooh, that's fast. But the second cheese in this phase is after you defeat first phase, go to the far end of the arena, look up at this tree, grapple up there, quickly look down, lock on, and jump, and you completely negate the second phase. In the third phase, that comes out. You want to equip the confetti, you can buff, you can throw oil, you have plenty of time. She'll always open up with this. You can jump through, or sorry, dodge through the fifth sweep. And honestly, you can use firecrackers again if you want to. Just look at all the health damage this does. Don't do the follow-up attack from the firecrackers, it's actually better to just do a double attack. And yeah, this fight is like almost over by virtue of how much health damage we've done. Her posture will go up very quickly. But other than that, man, this is just such a fun fight to learn how to block. There's such a fun flow to it. Whenever she does the centipede attack, just dodge to the side. Watch out for Mikiri. And watch out for sweep attacks. I don't really know what else to say other than watch out, I guess. If you want, you can go back and watch the stream, like, in slow motion. And then you can sort of get a good idea of what the obvious tells are for those attacks. I just kind of know them in the back of my mind, but over time you will learn what to look out for. That's most of where practice comes into it. So that's True Monk. And this time I'm going to rest at the idol, because that's something you want to do. Okay. Another easy fight, Genichiro, Way of Tomoe. This is... We did Inner Genichiro before, and this is just such a cakewalk compared to that. He'll always open with this, get behind him whenever he's doing it, and you won't get hit. And this is actually a better example of the battle flow thing I was talking about. This fight usually has a very obvious sort of flow to it. Okay, I'm gonna run away from that. Oh, there's a rock in the way. Watch me die. Whenever you heal, he likes to do Mikiri, so be aware of that. Let's see if we can get him into a good loop. He ran to the side, so I did a jump. Mikiri, very obvious. He's actually acting quite strangely in this fight. He's doing a lot of special attacks. Normally there's a lot more sword play in this. Alright, well, that's way of Tomoe, I guess. Man, I keep trying to explain to you guys, like, battle flow for the Genichiro fight, but Genichiro's like, nah, mate. Not doing that. Alright, so the last fight is Inner Isshin. Inner Isshin is one of the more disappointing inner variants. Unlike the others, they don't really switch up the way you are supposed to fight him in a very big way. You kind of just run away from any attack you don't recognize. He'll always start with this though. So get medium distance for the first one, then run inside, and you get a free attack in. And the battle flow, I'm going to talk about it again. I know I keep saying battle flow. The battle flow for this fight is attack, attack, parry. Attack, attack, parry. And you'll see what I mean. Until you see like special attacks like that. Attack. Okay, that was a new attack. I wasn't familiar with what that was. So I'm going to run away and heal. When he goes to the side like that, he usually does a Mikiri attack. When he does the sword back, you can be in his face and block like that when he pulls his sword back like that, and you'll always be Mikiri after it. Another one is if he sheaths his sword, you also get in his face and tap block, and then you can jump on his head. So whenever he sheaths his sword, or does the obviously Mikiri thing, you kind of like block the first one and then follow up with, like this one. He sheathed his sword, so I knew I had to jump on his head. There, that one. He pulled his sword back, so I blocked it, and then I did the Mikiri. So those are two ones you want to be very aware of, because you get some good punishes in. Yep, sheath his sword, go in his face, block, jump on his head. Oh, again, in his face, block, jump on his head. Oh, he really showed them off for you guys, so yeah, he did the stab there. You can actually use firecrackers at the start of this phase. Maybe I'll show you that cheese on screen right now. And if you do that, you get a lot of free health damage in, but yeah, that's one of his new attacks. Again, I don't know these. I'm not really sure how to counter them, but generally I just run away if I can. So this fight, attack, dodge through this, attack once, never attack more than once generally, and you can get into this loop where you attack him and then block. And if you get a successful parry, you can get him into a nice loop. Damn. Those attacks are pretty brutal, but I'm a heal through them. When he does the spin like that, it's a double block and then run away. This is always a horizontal sweep. Attack once, block. Attack once, dodge through. Attack once, block. Attack once, block. Attack once. You can block that as well if you want to. Attack once, block, attack once, dodge through, attack once, block. So if you miss the perfect parry, he starts comboing. That's why you want to parry every time. So attack, perfect block, attack, attack, perfect block, attack, jump through, attack, jump through, attack, perfect block. You see what I mean? This is kind of like the loop for this second phase. Sometimes it can go on for quite a while, and you actually won't until you fail it. When you fail it, run away and start again. This is a Mikiri. Sometimes he misses you completely, which is weird, and it can throw you off. Whenever he does the charge like that, just run away, because this is one of those attacks oh, I actually wasn't dead there. Yeah, whenever he does that charge, I should just really run away, but I'm still learning it. Tap block for the Glock. And let's finish him off without talking, otherwise I will fail. Okay, but I thought maybe I could... Oh, this is not good. I might die. Okay. Maybe you guys can figure out how to solve that attack. It's probably easier when you're watching the YouTube video. I actually don't know quite yet. Almost there. Oh, we got glocked. But it's alright. Okay. So we have a resurrection back now. Now the third phase can be easier in a way because he does lightning attacks. And during this inner Isshin you should have Sakura dance. So that's Sakura dance in action. Basically, I mean, whenever you see lightning, use your weapon art. That's it. Whenever you see that charge attack, you're supposed to run to the left. And yeah, I'm just using Sakura dance, man. It's so good. Don't run off the cliff. That's the thing. Oh, it was actually a strategy to, you know, spawn far away from him and heal. Oh my god, it's that attack again. I've been hit by this attack more in this YouTube tutorial than any other time. So, same principle in the last phase as in the second phase. You can get him into this loop. Just be aware that he's going to use lightning more often. And, you know, in a way, the lightning is actually a good thing. Because it's just so counterable. And that's the fight, man. That's it. So, a little bit scuffed in the first phase, but we brought it back. So that's the second gauntlet, Severance. And that's Isshin. And can I just say, it's so fitting to fight him with the Shura skin. I love it. Okay, so the last gauntlet is the Shura gauntlet. Quite short, but full of quite difficult bosses. Except for Emma. Let's be honest. So Emma has a very similar principle to Lady Butterfly in that you can just tap block and virtually never lose this fight. Tap block and then devote the rest of your memory and mind to avoiding her other attacks. Like this one, which you dodge to the side. But just look at her posture bar and mine. Attack if she does nothing, but other than that... I mean, I should have jumped on top of that, but you can also dodge it to the side, because her sword is so short. And you're starting to understand. The reason you do want to attack her sometimes is because it might stop her posture from coming back. But other than that, that's obviously Mikiri, because she's doing the stab. That's the sweep, because she has a sword to the side. The reason you also want to block is because she has that double attack, which makes it just more complicated if you do decide to attack her. Man, this animation always makes me sad. Feels bad, man. But, feels good, man. We beat it. Isshin Ashina. A variant on Isshin Sword Saint that has a few unique quirks that can sort of trip you up sometimes, but generally is a much easier fight. It's basically phase 1 of Isshin Sword Saint. And I'll show you the loop you want to get into. So if you see him sheath his sword, remember, get in his face, spam block until you block it. If he does Ichimonji, just wait until you can block it. And I'll show you what I mean about this fight being one that can trip you up. If you attack him while he's not doing anything, he actually sidesteps your attack. So if you're attacking him from idle, never do more than one attack. I'll see if I can show you. See that? And he'll almost always follow it up with a sort of spin sweep attack, which isn't really a sweep you jump on, but yeah. When he does that walk to the side, he always does Mikiri. So yeah, if you attack him from idle, be aware that he will dodge it. Wait until he goes on the downswing for that, it's very easy. And yeah, see, so whereas in the other fight I will be more aggressive when he's idle, this one I'm always aware that he can sidestep my sword, like that. And if he does that, same as Emma, just dodge to the side. Yeah, see, I fucked up there because I attacked him from idle. It would be really bad to die here. So, he sheathed his sword, so I got in his face. And now I'm just trying to get my health back so I can finish him off. And then we'll talk about phase 2. So, get in his face whenever he sheathes his sword. Whenever he does an obvious Mikiri, you also want to block the first part and then Mikiri it, like this. So that was it there. That's it there again. Block the first stab and then Mikiri the second one. And I mean, you basically do this in the second phase, but the second phase is different. Make sure you have Firecracker and even just the basic umbrella. And you want the umbrella for this attack. So he's doing it right now. He does this really long charge, and you can either use the Firecracker to interrupt it, or you can use the umbrella to nullify it. So he does this, stand somewhere where it's not on fire, and then use the umbrella. I did not stand in the right spot, but if you do, that attack will not hit you. So the different thing in this phase is these things I'm getting hit by non-stop. And they're actually a good thing. Like Isshin's lightning attacks, the fire attacks are actually just good. So whenever he raises his knee like that, dodge to the right twice. And you will always dodge it. Okay? Always to the right. That's his charge. I'm using the firecrackers this time, because apparently I suck at using the umbrella. When he walks to the right, same as before, use Mikiri. He raised his leg. If you're far away from him and he raises his leg, just jump around to the side. And be aware of that sidestep attack. He sheathed his sword, so I dodged it. I blocked it. Yep, he raised his leg, so I knew I had to go to the side. He's doing a charge attack, so I need to use firecrackers. Now, the one thing with this fight is you never want to fight him near the walls, because it makes it hard to dodge to the right whenever he does a fire attack. So that's why he's over there now. I want him in the middle of the arena when he does that. Downside is he'll get his posture back, but yeah. It's also better not to attack him. Oh shit. I actually don't want... No, I don't know what that attack was. I think it was a sweep. Anyway, I'll stop talking now and focus. That was a stab, so block the first stab, Mikiri the second one, remember that. His knee goes up, dodge to right twice. Knee went up, dodge to the right. Doing the charge. Actually, since this fight's about to end, let me show you what the charge attack does look like. So I'll skip forward to when he does do the charge attack, and I won't mess up the umbrella. Because sometimes you'll forget to do the firecrackers, you know? Okay, so he's finally doing the charge attack. Look for a bit without fire, stand in it, use the umbrella. Wait for it all to finish, and then you can follow up with an attack. The umbrella, honestly, the umbrella strap might do more damage than the firecrackers do, so it's up to you which one you want to use, but if you have both of them equipped, you have options. So, that is the Isshin fight, but it's actually not the hardest thing in this run. Honestly, the hardest boss that they've added is probably Inner Owl. Inner Owl is not the next fight. Demon of Hatred is, so I forgot. We'll do Demon of Hatred next. Demon of Hatred is like, think of it like a Dark Souls boss in Sekiro. That's why a lot of people lose to this fight. So to make it easy, you want to have a few things. You want to have this Suzaku's Lotus Umbrella, and you want to have Malcontent. You don't need these, but unlike any other fight in the game, except maybe the Guardian Ape, these make the fight so easy. You also want to have a couple of buffs. You want to have Divine Confetti, you want to have Akko's Sugar, and you actually want to have Yashiriku's Sugar as well if you can. This is one of those situations where this is actually very good to use sometimes. And that's it. I'll show you how to beat it without these as well, but they do make it much easier. It has also just occurred to me that I forgot to rest, and so I will be doing this with 2 healing gourd. If you have a lot of confetti, you can use it at the start here, but other than that, pull out your umbrella, and basically, when he does a fire attack, use your umbrella. When he does a leg attack, or a non-fire attack, parry it. And that's the principle for the entire fight. And because I messed up, I might also need to use the ceremonial tanto to get more weapon arts. So I've kind of messed up this fight already. Man, it really screws you over when you don't heal at the statue. This is one of his combos. Umbrella, parry, parry, umbrella is how that one goes. But the umbrella just puts so much damage on him when he uses fire attacks, man. It's insane. It makes you completely safe. As long as you have... If he does that attack, usually he does that when you're running towards him, but if you see him do it, and you're close to him, it actually won't hit you. So now, we have a lot of time to buff. So, I am going to use the ceremonial tanto, because you should maybe use the ceremonial tanto. It'll make sure you never run out of umbrellas, but you don't have to. I'm also just going to buff a lot. I just have every buff now, so you want to use Arco Sugar, Divine Confetti, and as soon as he does this, you can run in an attack. That's his sweep attack. He only really has one warning attack. When he runs away, he'll follow up with a fire attack in phase 2 like that. But the principle remains the same. If you see him use his firearm, use the umbrella. If you see him jump in the air, use the umbrella. Has to be the fire umbrella, by the way, so I do understand that getting the upgrade might be annoying for some people. So I'll try not to use it now, and I'll show you what to do. He does a double head slam sometimes. Okay, that's a triple head slam. That's something you should parry. Okay, so if you don't have the umbrella, run away from this, jump, and then grapple back in, and you can hit him for free. So that's what you do if he does the jump without the umbrella. If you don't have the umbrella, you can also just dodge through most of his attacks. That's why I say it's like a Dark Souls fight. Alright, so this is phase 3. Now here you don't have much time. Immediately, open your options and get that Yashariku Sugar going. This will halve your health, but with any luck and malcontent, you won't actually take any damage, so it won't matter. You just want the damage here. So I'm going to use this, and I'm immediately going to use malcontent. You can use this 3 times in this phase, and then it stops working. But as you'll see, when you do use it, it's amazing. So I use it here, and I go to town. You get about 10 attacks in the first one. In the second one, you get a few attacks in, and then you get stunned. And then you get a few more. And that's the fight. But, sometimes the fight will keep going, it depends on your attack and how many buffs you used. So, if you don't have malcontent, I'll quickly show you one of the attacks you want to avoid in phase 3. Jump, stand still, jump, kill. Okay, now that you've seen that, next is Inner Father. Probably the hardest fight in this update. Just because, I mean, Father Owl has a lot of attacks in general, and they just added more to him. But the principle from previous Owl fights kind of still remains the same. You can stay at a medium distance and do a lot of health damage just by exploiting his attacks. Like this one, for example. So I'm going to try and show you that now. That medium distance thing. The other benefit is this arena is much bigger than the other arena. So you have a bit more room to run around. But just be aware that those follow-up attacks are pretty brutal. When he does firecrackers, you can actually dodge through them. Or away from them, but through them is a bit better. Like this. So I'm just staying at a medium distance now, and this is one of his new attacks. Whenever you see him do that, I mean, we'll talk about it. That's one of his new attacks, basically. But you're seeing already... It's harder, this fight, but the principles are the same. However, if you do want to fight him, which I recommend you learn because it's fun as hell. This fight gets a lot more complicated, he gets a lot more moves, and I'll show you those now. So, let me try be aggro here. So, I mean, he just has a lot of exploitable attacks still, but yeah. He has just a wide variety of moves that you sort of need to learn if you want to go toe-to-toe with him. And it's just so much fun fighting Owl. Like, this is probably my favorite fight. That's one of his new attacks, for example. Quite brutal. So if you see him go into the Shadow Owl form, it means he's about to teleport and attack you, usually. So honestly, just tap block. Don't do anything else, because he'll almost certainly teleport to you and beat you. When he does that, you can jump over it, 2 attacks, and then parry. Gets you a ton of posture damage. Block, block. I saw him go into the black form. Jump attack, 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 and that's phase 1. Now phase 2 is the same as phase 1, but he starts using the owl as well. And depending on the way you see it, like a lot of final phases in this game, it can actually be a good thing. Like you get a free attack in there when he goes into the blue owl form. Sometimes the owl gets in the way, but other than that, it's not a problem. You can dodge backwards from that, you can dodge forwards. When he disappears, he's blue owl. Get a free attack in after you unlock. And he has a fire owl as well, which we're going to see here. The new thing is what I just showed on screen. The fire owl used to have like a warning jump thing you had to do, but now the fire owl also has a sort of vertical attack where you dodge to the side. So if you see the warning, jump. If you don't see the warning for the fire owl, dodge to the side. But that's basically his new attacks. The Shadow Owl thing can throw you for a loop until you realize that you just kind of have to block it. And that attack can one-hit you if you get caught, so firecrackers are pretty scary. It's kind of funny that they're overpowered for him as well. Jump, attack, attack, parry. He just turned into the blue owl. When he disappears completely, that's when you know he's turned into the blue owl. And that's basically our father. Remember, I'm attacking him, you don't have to. If you want to, you can play this really safe and just stay at that medium distance until you get the attacks you're familiar with. He always follows this up with a Mikiri, or he almost always does. And it's a very generous block, a very generous counter, so... Yeah, so he went into the Shadow Owl, I'm just tapping block. This will get your posture pretty high, but it usually won't deplete it. Jump whenever you see the sweep. And, I mean, basically just gonna let this play out now. I didn't do that quick enough. I think I have time to heal here because he turned into the owl. Jumping over this. He didn't follow up there, but that's fine. Whenever he does a shuriken like that, he's always going to do a jump attack. And that's the fight, guys. And that's almost everything. That's every one of the 3 Gauntlet bosses, but there are a few more bosses in the Mortal Journey, which you will unlock if you complete all of these. So let's go and see what those bosses will be. So in the Mortal Journey, there are a few bosses that aren't in the other Gauntlets. Let me have a look. I mean, you have to fight basic Genichiro. You have to fight the Corrupted Monk, which is the Phantom form. You have to fight the Headless Ape duo. And yeah, that's basically it, except you also have to fight basic Isshin, inner Isshin, basic father, inner father, basic Genichiro, inner Genichiro. So let's just do the couple of new ones. So that's Headless Ape. My least favorite fight in the game, and I'm sure you guys agree. on some level. This fight, I hate this fight. It's such a like, I know how to do it, I know some really good strategies for it, but even then, that's no guarantee you're going to beat it. So, basically you just want firecrackers for this, and also, you want to have the ceremonial Tanto maybe. I like having that. Oh, and you also want the loaded spear, but I'm just going to skip phase 1, because we all know how to beat this guy, it's the same thing as before. Block the sword, use the spear whenever he does the slam, and he's dead. Okay, so when you do finally kill him, that's when you want to use the ceremonial Tanto, in my opinion, because we kind of want as many emblems as we can get. And he'll run away, and you want to get some follow-up attacks if you can. You'll summon the ape friend. That was a bit of a scuffed way of summoning it, but whatever. And then the cheese begins, if you're lucky. Run around the battle arena and try to avoid them until this guy does a scream. And one way you can sort of trigger him to do the scream is by attacking him. I think getting at least one attack in is good, but get more if you can. But, you know, you can just run away. And when he does the scream, you hope to God this one's far away, and you just do this! And you hope that you can get the kill. I did it. So that works a lot of the time. If it doesn't work, what you should do is use the firecrackers more sparingly and just use them every like 20 seconds on the brown monkey, because the brown monkey doesn't have much health. Okay? So what you do is you just run around the arena until the brown monkey is far away from this monkey. Maybe this monkey does a scream, maybe this monkey does a big overcommitting attack, and then you just firecracker the other monkey and you start wearing down its health that way, like slowly but surely. That is the other way you can do this fight. But I'll skip ahead of this because we've seen it already before with the Guardian Ape. Okay, so the next boss we want to fight is the Corrupted Monk, and I think this is really the last fight I really need to show you. Oop, not that one. This one. So the Corrupted Monk is basically the true monk, a bit easier, especially easier because you can cheese the hell out of it, which I might even recommend if you're on your Mortal Journey. You might just want to cheese this because Mortal Journey's hard enough already. But run around to the left side of the arena. If you do that carefully, you can actually get some extra hits on her. And the cheese for this fight is a combination of Snap Seeds, which you can use and then attack twice with. Use attack twice, except for the third one where you can only attack once. So remember that. And then you transition to Firecrackers, which can be used until you run out, basically. And this is exactly the same thing you can do for the True Monk if you want to. If you accidentally do a sweep attack, just do one attack. And I mean, that's the fight, man. I'm just showing you the cheese, because if you want to fight the True Monk, you can do it normally, but man, just learn this fight though. Don't cheese it. It deserves to be fought properly. It's so good. I just love when she does this sort of loop. You can dodge through a lot of the sweeps like that and get some health damage in. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. It was fun commentating live. I can't wait to get to the end of this recording and see that something's wrong with it. Although if you're hearing this, I guess nothing was wrong with it. So yeah, hope you enjoy the video. This is going to be a weird one to upload. People are going to see it and be like, why is it an hour long? Oh well. The start of the video is just news, but this, I hope, was helpful to you guys. So until next time. Peace.